What I recently realized is that I've done a lot of videos on how to ship comics, but I've never done one on how to ship a slab. And so in this video, I actually want to show you the process by which I ship slabs across the country to Canada, or just down the street if I have to mail it for some reason or another. So the process is relatively the same regardless of how far I'm actually going to ship something. So I'm going to be using some very simple materials. I have a slab handy. I have my bubble wrap that we actually pick up from the business Costco. I honestly don't know how much this stuff costs. My guess is that you can find this just about anywhere, any office supply place, any warehouse club of any sort. You should be able to find some nice bubble wrap. And then I'm also going to be using blue painter's tape because you know I'm a huge fan of that. And then also for the purpose of shipping, I'm actually going to be using these priority mailers. This is the medium flat rate box from the United States Postal Service, and we'll talk more about that in just a couple of moments. But to get started, I have my bubble wrap set up here, and I typically put some kind of weight up on top because it actually holds this box in place. The box does not weigh a whole lot, and so because of how I use it, the counterweight actually helps kind of keep things in place a little bit. So we're actually going to go through this process. It's relatively straightforward, not a whole lot of magic here, but again, wanted to demonstrate this for the purpose of completion when I think about all of the various shipping videos that I've done. So what essentially I do is to place the slab in the center of the bubble wrap. This particular bubble wrap that I use, it probably leaves maybe 1/4 of an inch on either side of the slab kind of exposed, and we'll actually address that in a couple of moments. But I basically fold over maybe 3 inches or so across the front of the slab. I'll rotate it 4 to 5 times or so. I'll tear it off, and then I'll tape it, and then you'll see what happens after that. I take that back. I actually flipped it. I think it was 6 times. So we'll use a small piece of the blue painter's tape to hold that section of bubble wrap in place. And part of the reason why I like to use the bubble wrap is because it's relatively easy to find it when somebody goes to actually take the slab out. It also doesn't tear the bubble wrap, so someone can actually reuse this if they choose to. So now that I have that first strip of bubble wrap secured with the blue painter's tape, I'm going to change it from a horizontal orientation to a vertical orientation, and I'm basically going to repeat the exact same process. So now that we have that done, again, I'm going to grab a piece of the blue painter's tape and basically secure it. And what you see with this is that because, again, of me changing the orientation, you can actually see that there's a little bit of some overlap on either side, maybe 1 inch or so on either side of the slab. It actually comes in handy when you actually go to place it in the mailer, as I'll show you in just a second here. All right, so this is the medium flat rate shipper that I like to use, and all I do is basically drop the slab in there. You can see there's a little bit of room at the top and the bottom. Hopefully you can actually see that little bit of room in there. And what I'll do is I'll actually take some additional bubble wrap sometimes and shoot it down the sides, or I'll take a little bundle of it like this, kind of folds it up, a little overlapping there, and I'll basically drape it across the top. Drape it across the top so it actually fills in the void on the top and the bottom, but it also provides a little bit of cushion on the top. And so you can see there, once you do that, that slab doesn't really move. And then I basically just fold sides down, secure the top. And then normally what I'll do is I'll use the normal adhesive that they actually have here on the mailer. And then what I'll also do is I'll put an extra piece of tape across the top and an extra piece across the bottom just to kind of make sure that everything is held securely. And then I'll slap a label on there. What's great about the process that I just showed you a few moments ago is that it works perfectly for a single slab or for up to 3 slabs in the exact same medium flat rate box. And what I like to do is I like to actually stack the slabs together. Sometimes I'll secure them on either side with a little bit of blue painter's tape to prevent them from shifting around. The great thing about the CGC, the holders, is that they stack quite nicely together, even if they still have the plastic wrap on them. But I will sometimes use the blue painter's tape to kind of hold it, and then I'll do the exact same thing that I just did, which is hold it in a horizontal position, get the bubble wrap going, roll it 5 or 6 times, tear it off, secure with a piece of tape, change it to the vertical orientation, roll it exact same way, secure with a little bit of painter's tape, and it works quite nicely. And there you go. The exact same process for 1 to 3 slabs, and it works quite nicely. But as you can see, you don't need as much packing material. You don't need that extra piece to be placed in there because of the 3 extra slabs taking up the extra space in there. But again, this process works really, really nicely. And as I said, I'll slap a label on here, and then I'll also slap on a couple of fragile or do not bend kind of stickers on here, just to give a little bit of a precautionary warning to the United States Postal Service to handle these materials with care. There are times when I actually need to ship not just a graded comic, but a raw comic or 2. And so I want to show you my process for that. And what's great about these CGC cases is that they have a little bit of an indentation here in the front of them. And it's actually a great space for being able to drop a graded comic right in there. And it actually will sit right in that little indentation on the front. And if I have 1 or 2 comics that I'm sending to someone, I will drop them right into the front there. And then I will secure that comic with a piece of, or 2 pieces of blue painter's tape, 1 at the top and 1 at the bottom. And then once I do that, I basically drop the comic back into its protective sleeve, like so. And then I just do the process that I showed you a few moments ago, in which I basically secure it in bubble wrap. And that's a great way to be able to send a raw comic and a graded comic in the exact same package. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll actually do this setup here where I have the graded book, the raw book together. I'll put the second graded book on top, and then wrap the 3 of them together in bubble wrap and place them in the medium flat rate shipper. But this is a great way to be able to, again, ship a raw comic with some graded comics, and it works quite nicely. But let's just say that you actually need to send multiple raw books, and you don't want to necessarily use that kind of setup, because it doesn't work if you have to send 5 or 6 or 7 books or something like that. But in that case, what you can do is you can follow the same process that I showed to basically secure it in the bubble wrap, the graded book, that is. And if you have a Gemini shipper, you can basically wrap this in bubble wrap if you choose to. But this thing can accommodate 5 raw comics. You can actually pair these 2 up, and then you can actually just drop them right into your medium flat rate box, add a little bit of bubble wrap, and then off you go. And again, this is a great approach for being able to ship, multiple raw books along with a graded book or two, depending upon, again, how much space you have in your box, how much bubble wrap you use. And there you have it. That is my process for shipping graded comics, and also graded comics with raw comics. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, I definitely want to encourage you to leave a thumbs up, leave a comment behind so we can mix it up in the comment section. And if you need to reach out to me, feel free to do so at Regie Collects on Instagram, or Reggie at regiecollects.com.